The cool accountant, Thomas and Co.
Excuse the no T at the top there. That's fell off.
It's all good. It looks badass anyway, to be fair. Most people are, how old are you?
23.
Most people at 23 don't have their own badass boardroom and an office and all the rest of it. So I wanted to speak to you because you've somehow made accounting cool. So I wanted to go, right, he's young, he's got this killer instinct that I think a lot of the younger generation, i.e. anyone under 25, is kind of lacking nowadays. Do you know what I mean? So first of all, when did you kind of find this love of numbers and think, do you know what? Accounting, that's what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not really like I say, the coolest thing to do, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. So I'll take you right back to when I actually started, and I'll take you through the process a little bit. So I was always good in school. It sounds funny still saying that in business, but I was always good in school. I was always analytical. I was always good at maths. It always came naturally to me.
So we're talking like A stars across the board?
Yeah, A stars math. I was always, that was the one thing that just clicked.
Really?
Like, didn't have to go home and do my work.
And what age did that sort of come, do you reckon? Like 10, or are we talking 15?
It was literally like primary school, top of the class in maths. Like I was always just that guy that was good at maths. Like English, okay, science, okay.
Was the thing.
I weren't academic. I didn't enjoy studying, to be completely honest.
Right.
I was always a practical guy. Like I always wanted to just work.
Yeah.
So I got into it. Basically, my granddad was very successful. My granddad ran a very large business. They've got over 1,000 staff now.
Not in accountancy,
Not in accountancy, no. It was in like a commercial printing, something completely unrelated.
Right.
So he was very switched on. He was always business minded, and it literally was as simple as I was great at maths. I was analytical, and it got to the point at 16 where he was like, "What's the best thing for you to do?" And it was as simple as looking analytical and number focused. What you can earn the most money in, and to me that was accounting. So I was like, okay, we'll try that.
Do you remember the time where you like, I don't know, did you Google and just went, well-paid jobs that need maths? Do you know what I mean?
Is that literally me and my granddad sat down?
Really? She did it with him?
Me and my granddad sat down and was like, right, what are you good at? I was like, numbers, analytical. And he was like, right, let's have a look. And we literally, it was Google.
Wow.
We went Google, looked at the careers that had them skill sets that were required. Okay. Accounting was the highest paid, unless you go in like computer coding. And I was
it's next level, like cyber security and all that. It's big money.
Like now there's AI and there's a few different things you could potentially go into, but at that point it was like, that's the highest return for my skill set.
I love it that you were just focusing on the money. What's going to give me the best bang for buck?
Of course.
Brilliant.
Well, as of then, I didn't necessarily have the business mind. I just was good at numbers.
Yeah, right.
Whereas, like, I know now I've got more than enough confidence in my own abilities that whatever we chose that day, I would have made it work.
Get you.
Any single industry, you start me again tomorrow and I'd crack on and I'd get it done.
So where's that mindset from? Do you know what I mean? So is it watching your granddad because he was just an absolute boss? Is it from the parents? Is it from your friends that you grew up with? Where has it come from? Do you know what I mean? Where's that spark?
Yeah. So I'd say initially granddad.
Okay.
Initially granddad.
He's just a grafter. Watched him graft
just
and
a
graft.
grafter, and I've always wanted what he has. He's got the nice house. He always travels on holidays. He's that sort of guy.
So that influenced it.
That was the initial push, and then from then, I sort of had a period where I still had the going out on the weekends and drinking, and
you've got to get it out of your system. I think
everyone did that. So from sitting down and looking at the career I was going into, deciding accounting, I applied for an apprenticeship. First one got. Went into there. I was there for 4.5 years.
Wow, that seems like a long time for an apprenticeship. But that's what it is in accountancy.
There's a lot of studying. So like I started off there, brew boy, doing all the filing, usual stuff. Built myself up, and I was managing all the largest contracts, doing all the new client meetings. I pretty much, to a point, was one of the top guys there.
So how did you get to that level then? So did you think, right, I'm going to have to go above and beyond here? Because a lot of people just kind of do bare minimum, right? So my mindset, and I'm assuming yours will be the same, is if I was in an apprenticeship, I would go, right, I'm coming early and I'm staying late, and anything that needs doing at the weekend, any way I can show this company I am like harder working than everyone else, I'm going to do it so I can climb the ladder. So do you know what I mean? Did you have a few...
So I definitely did that to a point, but I also feel like that environment wasn't a place that...
you could bloom.
Yeah, it wasn't a place
you were kind of like, there was a roof, there was a ceiling.
Also, I'd never had a bad word to say about it, but the people that managed that weren't very entrepreneurial.
Get you. So you could see their mistakes and go, this is what I won't do at mine.
Exactly. Yeah. So as much as I was always the hardest worker in the room, or tried to be, that environment didn't necessarily put that to the forefront of everything I was doing, because you could turn up and do whatever you wanted and you wouldn't necessarily get rewarded any less or more for it.
But it was a good thing because you saw that.
I saw that, I saw that. So I then, from there, 4 years in, I realised I couldn't go any further. I'd sort of reached its potential. And then I went on to a Manchester firm, completely different ballgame, very corporate. Like, that's when I really then came out of my shell, because I had to work hard just to get noticed. So I was literally, like, I used to get up at about 4:30 in the morning. I'd go and do my run, I'd go and do my cardio. If I was training in the morning, I'd train. Then I'd walk down from my house to the tram station, which is 40 minutes because I didn't drive at this point. Then I'd get the tram to town, which is 40 minutes. Then I'd still be there an hour before anyone else. I used to get there for about 7:30. And then I'd work an hour till after everyone else. Half of the time, the MD of the company would tell me to go home because no one could be in the office on their own, because it was like a big corporate. They've got rules when they get to that point. They was like a 30 odd staff firm.
But you were doing that on purpose. That's what I'm
On
saying.
purpose.
Yeah,
and I
brilliant.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to get noticed. Like, I was just doing that because that's what I wanted to do. That's what made me feel good. Very quickly from there, I got a promotion and I was doing audits for 9-figure businesses in Stoke-on-Trent, Somerset, like all across the country, 9-figure businesses. So I was doing audits. So as babyface as I look now,
Which is very, very big. A lot of responsibility on your shoulders there.
of course. So like, I'm still quite baby-faced. Like, I'm 23, I still look young. Back then I looked even younger.
Right.
So I was like this guy that looked about 17, 18.
I'm sure that was like a whirlwind though, wasn't it? Because people were like, what the bloody hell's are you doing with my couch?
Well, you have to fight so much harder just to get respect.
Yes.
So I'm going into these boardrooms with FDs, CTOs, CFOs, and I'm going on the board and I'm presenting forecasts and budgets, telling them what they should be spending and when. So that they see me come in, they see me take the floor, and straight away they're like,
yeah.
What are we doing here?
But that's all assumption that though, isn't it? So saying, do you know, like if I rocked up somewhere and I had loads of tattoos or whatever, straight away, some top dog at a big firm or something is going to look at me and go, oh God, I bet he's a murderer or something, he's got tattoos. Do you know what I mean? You think that, don't you?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You could see some absolute hobo that stinks, and it might just be because he doesn't value showering. Do you know what I mean? He might actually be worth billions of pounds. Everyone does it. Everyone assumes. And
we are all judgmental. Whether it's subconscious or conscious, most it's going to be a conscious judgment. Even the people who aren't judgmental at all still have a subconscious judgment. You walk in at night and it's dark and you're a girl and you see people across the street, you're going to automatically be a little bit like,
oh wow,
that's conscious, or you might even have subconscious. In the day you might feel a little bit like, oh, you know, there's a group of lads there.
Makes sense.
Like, people are judgmental. At the start, especially when I was at Lloyd-Piggott, which is the Manchester firm, I was very conscious of that. Like, I was a bit like, I'm younger, so they might not accept me. Like, now I fucking flaunt that. I love that.
You almost play on it, which is great
100%.
because straight away, as someone younger, I mean, I'm 33, but I like the fact that you're so proactive and you are younger, because I feel straight away that you'll have a bit more juice than the old boys, because the old boys are like, oh God, right, time for the tax return. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just... I feel like you've got more get up and go, which I think's appealing. So if you do need an accountant, he might be a man.
Drop me a message.
That's it. So so there, and then I'm assuming you set up by yourself after this firm there, right?
Yeah, so it was Lloyd-Piggott. I did around 18 months there.
Okay.
I always, just as habit, I always tracked my billings every month.
Okay.
Even though I didn't need to. I always like, right, this is what I've done. Yeah. This is what they charged.
Did you do that at the end of the week or at the month, by the way? Because I tell people to do this.
I used to do that weekly.
Weekly, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do it weekly, where I'd track out what I was billing for them. And for me, it was growing every single month. I knew I was good at what I was doing. I knew I was coming into my own. I knew I just needed to develop my personal skills and interpersonal skills, which were also coming. And I just had that urge that I just wanted to be my own boss, live on my own terms, time freedom, location freedom, all the rest of it. You see it all, don't you, on Instagram? Like, that's what I wanted. I always, from day dot, said to my granddad, I will have my own business one day.
Is he still with us, by the way?
He's not, no.
Oh, right, he's passed now.
He's
right,
not. So, if anything, that pushed me more.
I was going to say that.
Because now I'm almost like,
doing
you know
proud.
What, I will make sure that I do.
I've got the same with my dad, but I'm with you.
So that was pretty sudden as well. That was like a 12-month period from completely healthy to no longer. So that was like a big push.
Should be an eye-opener to look after yourself as well.
Exactly, exactly. You know, as business owners, we constantly work. You need to make sure you prioritise health as well.
That's it, man.
Which, obviously, the gym does that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So at that point, I got a opportunity to work as a finance director for another company. So we ended up going to company. It was actually downstairs. I went to that company. It was initially like a 5-day-a-week role. I pretty quickly got it down to like 2 days a week to actually do the FD stuff.
Wow.
So alongside that, I actually made a really bad move from the get-go, really. I give 50% of the business away to downstairs.
Wow.
Initially. Because in my mind at that point, I was like, right, I've got a salary. They was better in what they was going to pay me just to do the FD role. And I was like, then the spare time that I've got 3 days a week, I can then spend growing my own business. I was like, that works well. It gives me an opportunity. It gives me security. So that's what I did initially.
As in this business?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
No longer.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
No
Yeah,
longer.
I get that.
So I set off on my merry way, growing the business. I didn't have much self-belief at that point. I knew I was good at what I did, but I didn't know that I could grow a business.
Well, you haven't done your learning yet. You've done your set role, but you've not messed about with staff. You've not. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's where you learn.
So like I've just learned, and because my granddad was no longer there, I didn't have someone to ask that.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? I really want my own business. I want to do well. And this guy was a very nice guy. Again, no bad word to say about him. He was like, tell you what, you come in here, you can grow the business. We can look at buying it back in portions later on. So I set off on this business. First year, we did 6 figures. First 12 months, that was alongside also doing their FD stuff. That was first year. And I'm seeing this grow month on month, and I'm feeling like this guy doesn't actually do anything, and he's got 50%. There was no distributions at that point, so it wasn't bothering me as much, but I was like, right. So then I went to him and said, based on certain targets, can I start acquiring some shares back? No. Like very.
He's seen that
it was a little bit hostile.
Yes, of course. I'm sure he won't be watching this. It's all right.
No, like initially, it was sort of, I'll grow the business, you can have this percentage, and we'll grow it together. I am changing my tune a little bit at this point, but I'm now getting self-belief, and I'm realising what I'm doing and how fast I can build this business.
So from a profit point of view, right, let's just break some numbers down. I'm quite simplistic with this. The company in the first year might have done what profit?
So turnover ended up at like just under 100, I think it was 98.
Okay.
I did like 64, 65 profit.
Okay, so, and of which you gave how much to him?
Well, it was 50%.
So 30 something K for doing.
Yeah.
And how much did he initially put in money-wise to the company?
5.
So straight away, I mean, put 5 grand in, get a 30 return, which is just insane. And he's just going to be like, right, well, I've got this absolute cash cow. He's probably going to give me 50 grand a year. Yeah. I'm not surprised, do you know what I mean? Like, that's madness.
Yeah, so at that point I was like, I want to set certain targets in place and start acquiring it back.
He said no.
He said no, so it was like a month of quite hostile conversations.
I bet. And you were still running his finances as well?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
right.
Still running his finances, and I mean everything, payments, invoicing.
This will have made you pretty badass from the get-go out running a business, because you've already had one of these really stressful situations that nearly either breaks you and you just go, no, I'm back to a normal job, or you go through it and you've got another weapon in your arsenal, so to speak.
So I was at that point, I was like, right, do I give all my clients to him, sell them to someone else? Do I start up again? What do I do? Do I buy him out? I'd built a really good client base. I didn't want to let go to what I'd built. And it was, at this point, I'm taking on like 2, 3, 4 clients a week. Like they're really rolling in, and I'm like, it's just starting to go like that. I don't want to start again. So we ended up, at first he said he wanted 500,000. I was like, where have you pulled that valuation from?
Absolutely.
Where am I going to get out? Lend it from the bank. It was a bit like,
on a different planet by the sounds of it.
We ended up settling at 100k.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
so
that's all right.
I paid him 100k plus his 5k back. He wanted that back as a
as a bit of a stab sort of thing. Yeah, makes sense.
So it cost me 105 plus the solicitors were about 12. So it cost me 117k.
It's quite a large solicitor bill that. Jesus.
So 117, bearing in mind.
How much better did you feel after you did it?
Miles better.
There you go.
I was 22 at that
Best
point.
100 grand you've ever spent in your life, mate.
100%.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was very much like, that's a bad start. But you know what? I've got to make it work. I've got to make sure. Do it for my granddad, do it for me. I want to build the team, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and I want to have the life that I want to live.
That's probably the best thing you ever did.
100%.
It genuinely is, as in, having the balls to do it. Do you remember the moment where you thought, shit, I need to actually buy this back, I fucked up here? Do you know what I mean? Because I've had similar with a business before. So yeah, did you have that sort of light bulb moment? You think, oh shit, what am I going to do now? Do you know what I mean? And was it literally you just saw a P&L one day and thought, oh wow?
So I think the main thing that did it is I saw the P&L building, yes. And then I was like, you know what, it's about time I start getting some of it back. It wasn't like I want it all straight away. I was happy to go 70%, then I pay you out a certain amount, 80%, then I was happy to do that. And in hindsight, he would have got a lot more out of me if he'd have done that.
Yes.
He's grown so much since then. But I went and had the conversation to see how hostile he was straight away.
And it was a no.
No.
Yeah, you see.
I was like,
oh, wow,
right.
I'm actually.
Now I
I'm
realise
working
people
for
change.
Yes. Money
like,
is the devil.
Until that point, I'd seen nothing but positivity and got on well with this guy. He almost brought me in the family a little bit. Brought me into the team, they gave me the back office. Like, I was very much in with them. I'd been to his house for tea.
I'm assuming you no longer work for him.
They actually are still a client.
Oh, right.
I just don't manage them.
Business only. Brilliant.
But for me, I don't hold grudges.
No.
I don't hold any resentment to that at all. If anything, that's like a real part of my journey.
Big time.
Like, for me, that's the golden nugget. Like, I resented it for about a month or two.
I'm going to say for a 22-year-old back then, when you're paying 100 grand, which 22-year-old do you know with 100 grand kicking about, or even the capability to borrow that?
Yeah.
This is why you are definitely belonging on this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's incredible story, and I'm assuming it's just grown and grown and grown since.
Yeah. So this year will be about the next 12 months from that will be about 3 times growth. The next 12 months from that, I reckon we'll be doing 750, 800.
So let's say someone out there is good with numbers and they've never even thought of being an accountant. If you're a decent accountant, right, let's say that you don't have your own firm, you're just a decent accountant, what sort of money can you make as an accountant, would you say, per annum? Ish, ballpark.
So you need to do your exams, and it depends what qualifications you've got.
Okay.
We work our firm is very different to most other firms. We put the lads on commission splits.
Okay.
No other accountants firm I've ever spoke about or heard of does that.
Right, okay.
So we do base salary.
Incentive driven.
Yes. So for me, a sales role where it's commission only, if you close that sale, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You never get a more incentive-based structure than that.
Yeah,
so I wanted to replicate that as closely as I can. So for me, I give them security, I give them a fair base salary, they get paid that no matter what. But then at the point that their billings, a certain percentage, outweighs the base salary, that's what they then get paid.
So
I've got lads that
what
work.
we're kind of talking?
I'd say if you've done your AAT 2, 3 and 4, you go to the right firm, you're good at your job, you probably get 40 straight off the bat.
Okay, and then working for someone, let's say one of your guys here, what do you reckon the max-ish they could earn? 100?
Yeah.
80, 100, 100-ish, right?
So it probably help if I give you some context on what we're trying to do, because we're almost like a franchise and franchisee. Thomas & Co is the brand. I'm the guy that gets all the work in. I QC everyone. I provide them with the infrastructure, the systems, the processes. They then manage their own client portfolio within the business. And they have the support network of someone in payroll, someone in admin, someone to do their onboarding. They manage them clients. They're responsible for making sure that them clients are happy, they're saving tax, every box is being ticked. I QC it.
Did you see that structure somewhere else and did you replicate?
I created
it, right? That's interesting, right? Yeah. So most of the places do it like this. I think I can get a better team earning more money and being happy if I do it this way.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
So like most accountancy firms, they're very numbers, analytical, hit these metrics, whereas I've got a team that's collaborative, they're proactive, and they all believe in the vision, they believe in where we're going. I very rarely have to raise my voice or bring someone in the meeting room and do it.
You seem quite calm. I think another 4 or 5 years of business and you might
maybe
have a few more heart attack scares and then
maybe that's true. It's like I try and run the place and make sure everyone stays in line, does what they need to do.
Are you the first one here?
Most of the time.
Oh, someone's beating you. Who is it? I'll have him. I'm going to steal him.
I used to almost battle that a little bit and try and be the first one in. Trying to get a little bit better. But I try and run the place and I try and build the team based off them actually having belief in what we're doing and what we're providing. So like we try and have a weekly meeting where we'll look at all the clients and what wins we had. I could try and make them believe in what they're doing. And also with the incentive-based structure, I've now got a team who in some scenarios work as hard as me and believe in it as much as I do.
In theory then, they're never really going to leave then, are they? Do you know what I mean? No. I say this with the personal trainers in the gym, for example. Like, I will hunt the best of the best down, and as long as they're happy, you know, whatever kit they want, whatever, I just want them to earn a load of money because then they're never giving me any stress. They're happy. They're running their business within mine. They're never going to leave. It's no worse than getting someone good and then them just buggering off. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, keeping them happy is absolutely key.
100%.
Isn't it? Yeah, that makes absolute sense.
But they build with the firm then. They build with the firm and the skill set's going to build.
What would you say is the kind of future with this then? Are you a numbers sort of person, like you say, right, I want to get this business up to the point it's going to be doing me, I don't know, £1 million profit a year, whatever. Are you kind of target driven? Have you got this set, boom, I need that?
Not numbers based, no.
Okay.
For me, it's genuinely just providing value to people.
Right.
Like, I want to have as many younger entrepreneurs that come into Thomas & Co. and go from zero right the way up to 7-figure businesses.
Yeah,
The
businesses are not necessarily, right,
Because
yeah.
we don't just do accounting, we do business advisory. So
Right.
we have businesses that come in, like lads who are just starting out in business that started with us 2 years ago when I started, that are doing like 10, 15, 20K a month now. And we've almost helped them. Because I speak to that many different business owners, I get little nuggets of information from everyone, and I input that into the meetings. Like, what I try and say most accountants do is they'll provide numbers and a tax bill. We provide numbers, but we also understand the backstory behind the numbers, and we can help input you and allow you to make strategic decisions based on financial data that's live.
So if someone's got a business out there, let's say they own a quick fit franchise or something, or a Subway or whatever, and they're doing okay, you go in there, you fine-tune the engine, and then off you go.
Yeah, so I look at all the sales metrics, the gross profit margins, have you got suppliers you can negotiate costs with?
Yeah.
Like, we do all of that. It's almost like a full spec service.
Amazing.
And for me, if I can provide that to a lot of business owners, then money is a byproduct of doing that. It's
And is
not
that like a set fee per month then, or is that just basically they pay you by the hour sort of thing?
a set fee per month.
Right, wow.
Yeah, so we'll always do a full proposal, break down every service we're going to offer, what that'll cost. They can choose whether they want monthly meetings or quarterly meetings. We do bookkeeping, like check-ins every single week for every single client.
Wow.
That's across the board set. Like, we work one way, as long as the client's happy working in line with us, which is going to benefit them anyway.
It's basically an all-in-one business solution. So it is completely different, and that's why I think you stand out. Do you know what I mean? So you don't necessarily have a set figure then, really. You're just going for it.
Not
just
necessarily,
keep
no.
building.
I just want to keep building,
Yeah.
keep unlocking doors to new rooms, meeting new individuals that I enjoy.
Would you see yourself expanding, having a few different offices places, or would you reckon you just stay here and grow the team, or one big office?
I think we'll have multiple locations probably.
Right, cool.
When I first got in here, we could probably fit about 12 staff in it.
Yeah.
When I first got in here, I was like, wow,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
this.
And now
we've got 8.
Right.
And it'll probably be
You'll
another
soon
2.
be there, won't
Probably
you?
be another 2 by the end of the year. So
Yeah.
then I'm looking like next year we potentially need new space. So it may be that I keep this because this is a great location, and then get somewhere else in Manchester.
Get you.
Because as much as I can do remote working, my talent pool is limited because there's only a certain radius that people will travel. Whereas Manchester, they can train in, so your talent pool opens.
Yeah, I get
so
you.
I'd potentially get an office central Manchester.
Central Manchester.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a grafter, and this is what I'm trying to kind of instill in the younger generation and all that. Do you burn out? Or have you ever burnt out? Do you have any downtime? Have you kind of put some sort of structure in place to prevent yourself from not enjoying the success you have and all the rest of it? What is a typical day for you? Do you have any days off? All that good stuff. You know?
So I'd say initially where I went wrong is I always chased a record month just in terms of business. Whereas when I'm looking at how successful a month is now, I try and not just look at the numbers. Obviously, that's going to be a big part because we're running a business. I try and look at how much time I spent with my partner, how much time I spent with the family, how many times I trained, did I go out and enjoy, did I go for some meals, etc.
Do you just do this on like an Apple calendar,
I
for
actually
example?
write it down. I've got a whiteboard at home. Which
Okay, a whiteboard, all right. So whiteboard for anyone out there, right?
Yeah, so everyone's got their own little tricks.
But it's just good though, because I might then use that, because the moment I use Apple iCalendar and I colour code everything and all the rest of it, so whiteboard's a good shout.
So yeah, like I tried to, rather than just looking at how well the business is done, I'm like, right, but how much spare time have I had? Do I feel healthy? Have I been going to the gym? Have I been training? And every now and then, don't get me wrong, I'll do 8 weeks where I'm just like, you know what, these are the goals we want to hit. It's nothing but business. Everything else has got to take a back foot, because sometimes as business owners we've got to make sacrifices.
Of course.
So like the last 8 weeks since a networking event I did in Marbella has been very much just business focused.
Really?
Whereas now I'm
That
getting
got
to the
you
end
proper
of it.
going then, yeah?
Yeah. I was pumped up
Yeah.
after that. So like, I came back, first thing I did was hired four new staff in 4 weeks time. So every Monday for 4 weeks I had a staff member start.
Wow.
So that was like hectic. That was a lot of work on me because you've got to manage, onboard them, make sure they're in the team. Whereas now, after that 8 weeks of putting all my time back into the staff, now I'm starting to get time back. So now I'm like, right, hard work. There's been put in 10 times more than it usually would. Now I can take a little back foot, get back into my training, start training, taking my missus out, got a holiday planned, you know, start trying to take a back foot and enjoy the fruits of my labour.
Have you had, obviously you've just said there's that 8-week period recently, but have you ever had the point where, you know, you might have been working for someone or yourself, whatever, where you felt like you are absolutely just done? Do you know what I mean? As in like, you've burnt yourself out. Have you ever got to that stage, or have you been smart enough to kind of avoid it?
Been very close. I haven't been there. I've been very close, and I've always acknowledged it.
It's easily done, isn't it?
I've been very lucky because from very early on, I've had very good people in my corner. Like I've always sought out a great network. So like the networking event I went to, for example, in Marbella, there's a guy called Elliot Wise, James Vogel, Josh Dexter. These are all like mentors to a point. Whereas now I actually sort of mentor some of their mentees as well, and I look after a lot of their mentees as our clients. Brilliant. So I've sort of got myself into groups with people who have got 10, 20 years of experience very early on in my career.
Yeah, of course.
And
So you can slingshot yourself past the rest. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Like paying for mentors was the best thing I ever did.
And what sort of price are you looking at for a mentor for those people that potentially have a business, they've not thought of it? What sort of money are we looking at from a basic mentor to a really good one? What are we looking at?
I'd say you can probably find a basic mentor for maybe like £500 a month.
Okay.
I paid $750 a month.
Okay.
Now I've got now a mindset mentor that helps with like the way you think about life, procrastination, and all stuff like that. So I work on someone with that.
And is that like once a week? Is that like
I get
daily?
one call a week, yeah, and then you have WhatsApp support. So if I'm sitting down at my desk one day and I can't feel focused, I'll be like, Andy, why am I feeling like this? And he'll take me through some things and he'll be like, right, there's 3 ways that you feel like this. You either feel you're beneath the task that you're about to do and you shouldn't be doing it, or you feel like you've got a list where you don't know where to start. And I'll be like, yeah, number 2, that's why it is. Right, how do I avoid it? This is what you do.
Wow.
So like, for me, I have all these little support. So I have an online coach who does my fitness, nutrition, etc. I have the mindset guy, and then I don't have a business mentor anymore, only because
you're at a certain stage where...
Yeah, and I speak to Elliot a lot anyway, because we've got a business together. So I sort of sponge from him naturally.
What's that business, by the way?
It's accountancy as well.
Oh, brilliant. Amazing.
So Elliot Wise has got a business called Limitless Mentoring.
Right.
We now have a business called Limitless Finances.
Wow, fantastic.
So all of his mentees have access to an accountancy firm.
So,
which Thomas & Co and myself run. It's
amazing.
It's more of just like it's Thomas & Co processes, systems, service, but it depends on the funnel. Like where the clients come from depends whether they go into Limitless Finances or Thomas & Co.
Here's just kind of like a side track here, right? So a lot of people listening to this will go, bloody hell, he's got all these businesses, this, right? How much can you actually pay yourself without being absolutely shafted by the tax man? So do you know, let's say if you had 10 businesses, right?
Of course.
How much are you actually going to pay yourself?
So really, until you go into higher rate,
we
all get £50,270 before you go into higher rate taxes per year. So just over £4,000 a month.
Yeah.
So if you pay yourself more than that, then you're paying, if it's dividends, which it should be, if you've got the right setup, you pay 33.75%. So that's when, as business owners, we start going, right, let's get an electric vehicle, let's make sure we've got income protection, medical insurance. It depends, because paying yourself directly, you're going to get spanked if you go above 50. If you want to build wealth, that's when you start looking at group structures and going into property, etc. Or you can max out your pension contributions. You can put 60 a year into a pension, 20 a year into an ISA. It really depends on. It's not one method suits everyone. Like when I get
quite a lot of though do like this set 100 grand rule, don't they? I know a lot of my clients will go, well, I send myself 100. My partner, I send her 100, and then we fill the pensions. They all have this 100 sort of bizarre rule. So I was just thinking, well, I'm assuming your clients would also potentially do the same. Your top dog, so to speak.
Of course.
But a lot of people, like I say, just automatically go for these ridiculous goals. Oh, well, I want to be earning 250 grand. You are not paying yourself 250 grand without having half it taken off you.
Exactly.
You will not pay yourself 250 grand. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's just assuming. But until you actually get to the nitty gritty and you start speaking to a figures pimp like yourself, you know what I mean? And actually realise, oh shit, actually, I'm not actually on that much money. Do you know what I mean? That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you need to focus on building wealth rather than living a fast life and just constantly pulling out. If you're draining the business and you're restraining it for cash flow purposes, your business isn't going to grow as fast anyway. And I almost find like business owners, they start by wanting to earn 100 plus every year. When they actually get into the business, they have that much care and respect for the business. They don't necessarily want to pull it all out anyway. So like most people, especially if you've got a partner, can live a quite nice lifestyle, earning 50 each, 100, plus the benefits, company car, etc., plus pension contributions. And then you just pull out lump sums as and when you need them, and you just
or pensions or whatever.
Exactly. As
certain
long as you're planning, as long as you've got someone in your corner who tells you what to do and when and where to save and how, then there's always a way around it. You know, going into properties, the beautiful thing. Like most people don't understand group structures, but if you do set up a group structure, you can have the holdings company that owns the shares in your company. Instead of pulling money out to then invest in property, you just manoeuvre funds through the structure back into property. And say if you're doing renos, for example, you can then claim losses from one company as to profits of another company. So there's ways to tax plan, there's ways to be smart, there's SAS pension scheme, there's all sorts of different ways to tax plan and make sure you're being efficient. Depends on the lifestyle you want to live. If you want to pull money out constantly, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, you just know you're going to have a
just
rather
know
large tax bill.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it lands into your account, you're paying the tax on it, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are just on a different planet. They're like, oh yeah, how much do you earn? This. Pretty much everybody driving that Ferrari only pays themselves so much. Don't just assume they pay themselves 300 odd grand. Do you know what I mean? So I think people just regurgitate bullshit. Do you know what I mean?
So well, they hear different things from different conversations. They amalgamate it together and then they go, this must be the way.
Yeah.
And people say like, I want to earn $5,000 a month. You don't understand what is involved in having $5,000 a month. If you actually worked it back, right, so you've got to pay $5,000 personal taxes, then you'd have already had to pay corporation tax, then what were your administrative costs, then what were your gross costs, your cost of sales. So like to earn $5,000 a month free and clear, you might have to be turning over 200, 150, depending on what sort of business you're in. If you're in a goods business, then your margins are going to be relatively high. If you're in the service space, it depends. Like if you work it, people don't understand what it's like to reverse engineer. It's like if you do want to earn $5,000 a month, don't just chase a blind target that doesn't really mean much. Actually sit down with someone who knows what they're talking about and work back that $5,000 a month.
Get a mentor, you say.
Exactly. You can even work it back to how many conversations you need and how many people you need to close. Like if you work it back step by step, personal taxes, company taxes, costs, right, top line, right, in order to get that top line, how many clients do I need to close or how many products do I need to sell? Like you can work it right back to very actionable goals, not just, I want to do 5K a month. What does that mean? Doesn't mean anything.
Makes sense,
like work it right back up to, right, I need to close 3 people a week on this service package, then I need to fulfill. Like you can genuinely work it right back up to that. People just don't do that.
What's a bit of a, let's see if we've got a bit of a, to finish, a bit of a gem for some people out there that potentially have their own business. Let's say personal trainers. There's a lot of personal trainers that I know personally, obviously, and there's a lot that, you know, sometimes watch my stuff. If I'm a personal trainer and my accountant is shockingly shit, what is something that they might be missing out that might, I don't know, save me a load on tax? I don't know, let's say VAT. There's a lot of successful personal trainers I know that are on the border of going VAT registered, and then they do so and they have 20% of the money taken off them. And, do you know what I mean? Have you got like maybe a gem that a PT might be able to put through like a car or something? What would straight away, if you hear PT, what would the one thing you go, this is what I reckon a lot of people aren't doing that they could do to save money on tax?
So one thing, you mentioned VAT. When you get to the VAT registration threshold, instead of paying 20% and going on the standard rate scheme, you want to go on the flat rate scheme. You only pay 10%.
Okay, right,
So
okay.
straight away there's
you're
10%
saying
saving
actually
on.
do go VAT registered, even though some might do one-to-one training plus online coaching from a different area.
Of course.
You can split it.
That's if you're reaching 85 and you've got no other choice. It's like you don't want to halt your business. A lot of people stay around the 85 mark for 10 years when really if you'd pushed, you might be at 300-400. Well, the initial cost additional from going VAT registered, you're going to have saved 10 times over and you're not going to be limiting yourself. You want to feel like you're progressing. Don't hover around the 85 mark unless you're in a business where it's really going to hit you and you're maybe not going to go much more than 100, 110 anyway.
Because a lot of people don't understand, some people might not have set their own business up, they don't understand what VAT is, but in a nutshell, you're just getting money taken away from you once you hit a certain point, aren't you? You're being almost punished for doing well. That's what I look at it as.
Of course, I mean, the way VAT works, you have to do it quarterly normally. You have to either charge, so what you say you normally charge £100 for a PT session. HMRC, you should now charge 100 plus VAT, which would be 120. You go and saying to your customer, I'm now charging 120.
Yeah.
They're going to be like,
Yeah.
hang on, mate.
Or you take the hit,
I'll
don't you?
go to John down the road, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Whereas what most people do is then they'll take the hit, which then it means then getting £83 for that,
Yeah.
£100. Then the difference between that and what you pay out, the VAT you pay out, you pay over to HMRC. Whereas like a B2C where you're dealing with a consumer, you can't recharge that to your customer. If it's B2B and you're dealing with another business,
Yeah.
because you can recharge the VAT that you spend,
Yeah.
that business can just reclaim it anyway.
Yes.
So B2B, VAT
fine,
is a good
just-
thing.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
of the time I'd advise you VAT register straight away.
Yes.
Because you're not charging anything additional that they can't reclaim, and then you can reclaim all your expenses. Whereas if you're B2C, it's hard and you need to make sure you're doing everything you can. Like one thing I always say for PTs, like how disciplined are they with tracking the diet, the training, the routine, how many steps they've done, treat your business the same. Like treat it like it needs attention. That's what's going to provide you, your family and everyone around you with a great life. Don't look at it once a year. Like that to me is just
weekly, yeah,
you're not gonna change your diet once a year, just weigh yourself once a year. If you want to build a great physique, build a six-pack and make sure you're putting some size on. No one's going to do that. You're doing it daily, you're doing it weekly. Treat your business the same. Look at your numbers, understand what you're doing. Seek out advice like you would a fitness professional. Seek out advice on how you should improve, how you should put on 10 pounds of muscle, how you should save £5 in tax. Like, there's people that can give you the same advice and the same guidance in fitness as there is in accounting. Find the right person, make sure you give it enough attention, and I call it like a treasure chest. Like if someone comes on a call with me, I've got 500 things in this treasure chest. There's maybe only 20 that relate to your business. And I'll pull them out and I'll go, well, you can do this, or you can do that, or you can do this. And straight away, I can get off a call with someone quite often. I've saved them £3 or £4 just before I get off the call.
Wow.
Because they've got personal assets that maybe aren't in the business. You can transfer that across. You could have got a company car that you're paying on a private lease. You can claim for your home user's office, claim for your mileage, flat rate or standard rate, for example. There's so many different things that business owners can be doing. They just don't.
Really? Mega. Well, thank you very much for that, mate. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.
All right,
Thanks
man.
for having me.